Are you kidding me? Fucking idiot. Fucking dirty. Fucking prick. Fucking jerk. A little bit of paranoia creeping in there. Front wheels jumping all over the place. I'm sure it's just the uneven ground I've been on. Anyway, good afternoon. How the devil are we? I hope all is well. Look at this glorious afternoon. It was bitterly cold this morning, but we're getting better fit this afternoon. Come on, chap. Anyway, I have a topic in mind this time. That makes a change, doesn't it? Good. Well, actually, it's not something I've come up with. It's something that a damn fine chap I know come up with. Mr. Hepcat Hawley, the one and only. A few days back, in a previous motor blog, I'd mentioned about SAD again, social anxiety disorder, and he'd asked if I could actually explain what a bad day was like. Well, I wasn't sure if I should really do it because I don't know if it's actually possible to explain a fear, put a fear into words. Imagine a real fear that you might have. Think about trying to explain that to someone. It's not easy. And there's quite a few different facets, if you like, of SAD. Basically, it's a situational problem. You find yourself in situations that you don't think you can handle, or that are going to cause you distress, or fear, or anxiety. Obviously, it can also kick off if you know you have to put yourself into that situation, which actually the fear can be even worse. If you find yourself in a situation, it's quite bad. But if you have to put yourself in that situation intentionally, it means you can actually build that fear in your mind and make it even worse than it's going to be. Ugh, God, traffic. If that makes sense. So, sorry, I'm trying to make this up as I go along. It's not easy at all. One of the things you might actually understand a little bit more is one of the elements of... Oh, well, get a gun, man. Jesus Christ, he's away. Gordon Bennett. Anyway, one of the elements, which is very, very real, and I've suffered from ever since I was a child, really, is depression. And again, depression is quite a funny thing. You always have it, but it's not something you're always fully aware of. It's always there, and it creeps up on you without you really knowing. That can be a bad day thing. Depression can really put you down on certain days without any warning at all. Don't get us wrong, I'm not suicidal, I'm not, it's not that bad. It's an underlying thing. It's an offshoot of the SAD, because the SAD is very stressful. Generally, depression comes from stress. Anyway, I'm doing a rubbish job at explaining this, but I'm going to try and keep going. So, SAD, I suppose that the only way I can really explain it is to give you a situational example. I'm going to pause for a minute I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to get out of these lights so I'm moving, because I feel like a bit of a pleb sitting here talking to myself. Right, we're on the move again. So, give you a little bit of an example. One of the big things that affect me is telephone calls. If somebody calls me out of the blue and I'm not expecting it, I have to talk to them. It's not so bad because you don't have time to panic. It happens and you're there, so you have to deal with it. I mean, the longer the conversation goes on, the more fear you feel, and it is a very real fear. But if I have to call someone, like right now, at the moment, I'm switching mobile phone plans, switching companies. Now I'm going to have to call up my current provider and ask them to cancel my contract and unlock the phone so I can keep using it with the new provider. Now this will build up inside me. It'll bring out depression, it'll bring out genuine fear. I will shake, I'll sweat, I'll go cold, and the longer I leave it, the worse I'll get. But the thing is, because it's a fear, you don't want it to happen, so you'll leave it as long as you can. I've done this many, many times, and I know myself, if I just get on and do it, it's not exactly easier, but it saves the anxiety building. Yeah, if I could push myself to do it straight away, then it's not so bad, but it's a fear. You know, you don't want to dive straight in there, you'd rather not face it, obviously. And then when I ring this place, what I actually have to do when I ring anybody about anything, all the information I think I might need, I have to have in front of me. So my desk in what is sort of my office at home, I'll spread everything out in front of all paperwork, any information I think I might need. And it's not just information that you don't, regularly have access to, like account numbers and the like. I'm talking about things like my birth date, my address, my phone number. Yes, I know those things off the top of my head, but put me in a situation of anxiety and I don't know them. I don't know anything. I'm just an absolute gibbering idiot. And knowing that just makes things worse. The crazy thing is, a lot of people I need to deal with on the phone, which I have done before, the bank and what have you, insurance companies as well, actually, they're actually really, really good. They always are, but the fear is still there. I actually, at one point, had everything in front of me, but I'd lost one piece of paper. I can't remember what was on it, but the woman I was talking to, and I basically said, I'm sorry, you've got to bear with us. I've got everything in front of us because I suffer from dyslexia and SAD, and I need everything in front of us because my mind just goes blank. She said, that's quite all right. Just take your time. Not a problem. And she just chatted to us while I looked. And that kind of thing, it actually happens quite often. I don't often say the problems I've got, but, people just make it easy. But with the SAD in the back of my mind, everything's going to be ultra hard. Everybody's going to be pointing. Everybody's going to be laughing. Everybody can see us. Everybody's calling us names behind me back, and it's just, the whole thing just builds and builds and builds. So, and that's on the phone. So you can imagine if it's in real life. So obviously, I make no bones about it. I hide. If I can, I won't do something. If I can avoid doing something, I most certainly will do that. Because I don't want to put myself in that kind of situation. where I look like a fool. Even if I don't really look like a fool, I feel like I do. You know, you get one little thing wrong, somebody asks you a question, you don't know the answer to it, and then all of a sudden everybody's pointing, laughing, you know. One of the last things I had to do was take the car in for a service. It was its first service, new car. Never been to the garage. Well, I've obviously been to the garage to buy the car, but I've never been in for a service before. Didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do, all that kind of thing. Why is everybody waiting? The light is green. Jeez, what the hell? Is it the sun? Is it frying everybody's brains? Now what the Jesus Christ, people just cannot fucking drive. How numpty! Oh, and Bennett. Bloody drivers, man. Everybody should be banned off the road except me. Clear the roads. I'm coming through. I'm British, don't you know? Anyway, yes. Back to the topic. So, I had to take the car in for a service. So it was booked in for first thing in the morning, 8:30. And I'd deliberately done that because the way I see things, you do it early in the morning, there's no one around. Less chance of embarrassment. Less people to deal with. So 8:30 was when they opened, so they could book it in for then. So I said, that's great. That'll do me. So that morning, I was all set to leave, worked out my times and everything, and left with at least half an hour leeway. So I should have got there half an hour before my time was due. If I have to sit outside in the car for half an hour, I don't care, as long as I'm on time. It means I don't look stupid. It just so happened this day, it was chucking down with rain. I mean, it was really, really chucking it down. Which means the traffic backs up, the motorway was at a standstill, and there just seemed to be hold-ups everywhere. I was 15 minutes late, so right away I was stressed before I even got there. Anyway, finally got there, pulls up into the car park out the front, looks across at the showroom, and there's a gaggle of salesmen at the door which I would have to walk through. I'm not kidding, there must have been 30. It must have been a bloody convention or something. So I don't know if it was like a salesman's meeting or something like that. Oh my god, he actually looked. So that put us on edge. So I walked through. Every single one of them ignored us, except one chap who said hello, which I thought was quite nice. Anyway, I spotted the desk, and there was a young lady at the desk, so I went straight for it. Reception. Hello, the car's in for service now. Sounds simple, and it is simple, but in my mind, this woman thinks I'm an idiot. Everyone behind me, all the salesmen stand at the door, have actually turned to stare and watch to see how much of a fool I can make of myself. The words I'm speaking aren't words, they're just gibberish. It's just utter drivel coming out of my mouth. The shirt I've got on is back to front and inside out, and there's a big gravy stain down the front. My hair's fallen out overnight, and I've got a rash across my forehead. These are all things that go through my mind. My blood's running cold, my mouth's completely dry, My mind is completely empty, and it's just, it's stand. Actually, I think I mentioned this. I made a comment about this the other day on somebody's motovlog. It's like standing on the roof of a very tall building, on the edge of the ledge, when you're terrified of heights, with someone standing behind you, knowing that they're going to push you off, but you have no idea when. It is terrifying. Anyway, I said to this woman, I have the car booked in. I'm due for 8:30, sorry I'm late. That's not a problem. Just bear with me 1 second, this lady says. And she battles off and comes back with another young lady, who direct me to her desk. And she proceeded to explain everything to me, all the things I already knew, everything that was going to happen. She broke it all down for us. I didn't have to say a word. She took my keys and said, I'll show you where you can wait. Took me upstairs into the waiting room, sat me down. When everything's done, I'll come and get you. If you need anything, there's a toilet there. There's hot drinks, yeah, just help yourself. If there's anything further you need, my desk's just downstairs, don't be afraid to ask. And off she went. And it's little things like that, which I know sounds ridiculous, and people watching this, you guys, you're probably thinking, you know, what a big deal. That's not a big deal. And it's not, but to my mind it is. But like I say, little things like that, where people sort of take over and guide you through. Not guide you like you're a child, but, you know, they realise that you've never done this before, or you knew it, or they have a job to do, and they do it. You know? And that makes a difference. But the fear is still there, and I'm not explaining this at all well. Every interaction that I have to go through in life, and absolutely everything, is stressful. I am never without fear. Even when I go to bed, the fear is derived from what might happen the next day. I go into the garden to cut the grass, and I'm anxious about that because there might be someone in a neighbouring house watching what I'm doing, thinking I'm doing it wrong. That gives me stress, that makes me anxious. Riding this bike now, 10 or 15 miles away from home, I'm anxious because something might happen. Like I mentioned when I left work, with the front wheels jumping around, I could get a flat tire, the bike could conk out, I'll be stranded. I'll have to do something about it, I'll have to interact, I'll have to ring Honda assistance, I'll have to flag someone down. I can't handle that. And that just makes me feel small, I suppose. But there's nothing I can do about it. Sometimes you can deal with it a little bit better than other times. I'm not sure why that is, to be honest. It just is. But there's always a fear. So, you know, you see all these motorblog meetups. I could never do that. I could never
interact with strangers like that. I did it once, and I don't think I'll ever do it again because of that once. See if I can run through this quickly. When I used to ride Triumphs, I had my second speed triple 1050, and I joined I wanted to join the RAT. I think the Riders Association of Triumph, I think it is, whatever. I'm going to get off this motorway, try and calm the wind down a bit if I can. Yeah, and I sort of chatted with a few of them online and what have you, and there was a meet-up in Gosforth at a little pub that I actually knew. I knew the pub, I'd never been in, but I knew the pub, I knew where it was just up the road from my in-laws. So I thought, well, I know the layout, I know the ground, I don't know the bar, anything like that. I don't like bars, I hate bars, for obvious reasons. Crowds make me very, very anxious, obviously. And they have meetings, I think it was twice a month at the time. They used to be based in Durham, and then they moved to Newcastle, and they didn't seem to be getting the crowds that they used to in Durham. So, they were trying to build this sort of the membership up again, inviting people around. So I thought, should I go? Shouldn't I go? No, there's no way. Anyway, I got chatting to this guy online on the forum kind of thing, and passed a few emails back and forth and what have you. And really nice guy. And I don't know if I ever explained to him my problems, issues. But I did obviously explain I was anxious about it and everything. He basically, via email, held my hand about this whole thing. And he lived in Durham, which is a ways away from Newcastle. And he talked me into going to this meeting. And he said he would come across, so there'd be somebody familiar there to talk to. And I can't really say no to that, so I girded my loins and I did it. Terrified, utterly terrified. I went down to this place, and the guy running this rat thing, I forget his name, sorry, but he was there first, and this guy and his wife, who I'd been chatting to, they were there as well. So I plunked myself down with this guy, and the guy running the thing sort of introduced himself, and I was utterly terrified. I was stiff as a board. It just wasn't the kind of thing I did. And the guy who ran the thing wasn't approachable. Is that a nasty thing to say? He didn't make much of an effort to really, I don't know, maybe he sensed that I was a bit different. I wasn't the usual biker type, and he wasn't interested, whatever, I don't know. But I was talking to the guy and his wife, who I'd been chatting with by email. He was great. And then only minutes later, some of the other guys turned up and what have you. And before I knew it, there was a little sort of gang of these new guys around the guy running the thing, and he'd sort of blocked off myself and this chap I was talking to and his wife, and basically didn't say another word to me the entire night. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I wouldn't make it easy. I won't make it easy because, you know, it's not that I don't want to talk, it's that I can't. It's hard for me. Anyway, my anxious levels were just going through the roof. I was sweating buckets, and I just needed to get out of there. I was very close to passing out. I couldn't breathe. My heart was going 60 to the dozen. It was pounding so hard it was painful, and I had to go. And
the guy that I was chatting to and his wife said, "Oh well, you know, while I was just thinking I need to get out, he just said, it's about time we shut off." And I said, "Oh, me too," you know. And before I knew it, I was out the door. I just turned tailed and ran, didn't say bye to anybody or anything. Got outside, my knees went. I didn't hit the ground, but I caught myself, but I was a canny mess. And got to the bike and stood by the bike for a while, waiting until this guy come out so I could apologise, which I did. And I don't think he really understood, but what could I do? Anyway, I jumped on that bike, and I think I did about 170 miles an hour all the way home, non-stop through red lights and a lot. I'm not kidding. I wanted to get home and just be home. I wanted to lock myself away. And that's what it's like. You feel like you just want to lock yourself away. You don't want any contact with the outside world because it's going to hurt. Even though you sort of know in the back of your mind, you know, 9 times out of 10 it's not. 9 times out of 10 it's going to be absolutely fine. And when it is fine, you're on top of the world because of it. The stupidest little things that I can get through make me absolutely elated. Going to get petrol for the bike. I mean, you know how often you have to do that. That's another thing. I can't get used to that. It kills me. And doing that and getting to what is it with fucking car drivers? Jesus, fuck off. He's right up my arse. Yeah, but whenever I do that, you know, it's such an elation when I pull away from the place. I've done it, it's great. You know, my head didn't explode. Anyway. So I have absolutely no idea if that made any sense, if that got anything across to you. I feel like I've just been rabbiting on for God knows how long about stupid ideas bouncing around in my skull that nobody gets, nobody understands, nobody probably gives a shit about, and you shouldn't, really. You should just get on with your life. That's what I should do. That's what I try and do. Mrs. Ash, I feel sorry for. She's got to handle all the burden when I fall apart. But anyway, I didn't think I'd be able to explain it very well. But I thought I'd give it a go. Mr. Hepcat Harley asked, and I'm not going to refuse the chap. So there you go. Thanks for hanging on, if you have. I'm sorry it went on for so long. I hope, if anything, you might have got some sense of what I go through out of it. But anyway, now I'm rabbiting and not saying anything at all, so I'm going to let you go. I've been talking far too long. There's no way in hell anybody's going to listen to this vlog right the way through. But if you did, then I bow down to you. Anyway, thanks very much, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Ta-ta.